Someone even bought the book from Amazon. I mean, I sent it anybody, off, what was it, $6 or something?
eBay.
Oh, on eBay, you got it even for less, yeah.
What the? $4.70. What the?
I know I wrote a book basically on how to understand the Muslim, whatever. It's called Modern Islamic Warfare, and it's unbelievably expensive. I think the list price on Amazon is $6. I get zero from it. And you said you found it on eBay for
Well, net $4.70.
Okay. Anyway, let's simply an update from of things. You will hear some overwhelmingly good things, and of course, everything in life, like if you take medicine, it's good, but there's always a little poison. But and we Jews, of course, see the poison, which will be like 1% and 99%, which is pretty good. We get upset with. There is no way the situation where we are today. I don't care. Nobody could have planned this. Absolutely no, because things have fallen into place in a way that, from just thinking about humanity, like humans and how we think alone, no one could, with the best strategic mind, have planned this. Anyway, what do I mean by that? Hamas is, for all intents and purposes, decimated, but that doesn't mean it can't do here when there are some small things, but they are. And God willing, when the new president comes in, he will. He wants this out of the way, which means go full force. Hezbollah, what Israel managed to do with Hezbollah, and it isn't Israel, it is Netanyahu ramming it through. Because the establishment in Israel, the military establishment, they opposed the beeper thing. They opposed, everybody knows what the beepers are. Hey, maybe I should stop and talk to you a little bit about this, and I have to watch how I'm going to express this. They, in order to press the beeper, when you get a message. Now, most of us, if you're standing, you're holding it up. Well, what part of you are you in front of? With your hands. Why am I saying that? Because if you watch the cartoons and the videos that the Arabs were putting out against Hezbollah, they were put it this way, they were the head of a unit checking to see that, shall we say, useful parts are still there.
Yeah, but
yes.
They sold it to them 10 years.
Doesn't matter.
No, I'm saying that they planned it for 10 years.
Well, they didn't plan this time. They planned, hopefully, at some time to use it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And I know that, and that some of the things, and I was collecting these cartoons because if you want to understand the Middle East, you must. The best thing is, don't listen to what they necessarily say in public. Look at the cartoons that and caricatures that they do. It's really satire. Let me give you an example. When you remember that there was in 2015, Obama signed an agreement basically with Iran called the JCPOA, which is basically Iran listed the terms and Obama bent down and accepted them. Now, there were cartoons of Obama. And in the cartoon, that in the newspapers, in the Iranian newspaper, all of which are government controlled. So nothing is going to be published unless the government wants. Now, Obama is using, I guess, whatever. He is light-skinned black, right? The more that I know, leave the Muslim for a moment. It's absolutely true. It's true because in Islam, if your father is a Muslim, you are a Muslim. Let's say my mother, who was Jewish, if I decided, I tell all of you here, especially in an Orthodox shul, that my mother was Jewish, but I'm not. Nothing that I'm not going to convince you. None of you in this room will believe it because you know halachically that I'm a Jew. It doesn't matter what I say. Now, in Islam, if your father was a Muslim, it goes by the father. You're a Muslim. So I'm not saying that Barack Obama thought of himself as a Muslim. That's his business. But the way that you will never not think of me as a Jew is the way Muslims think of Obama. He could say he's the man in the moon, but he's still a Muslim. That doesn't mean that he thinks he was. I'm not talking about how we in the West, oh, today you could be a mixture of 16 religions or none, if whatever you want. Now, I'm sorry, as I do now, I completely forgot, what I was going to say, but there was, oh yes. In every Muslim culture, all Muslims are supposedly brothers, but this is in Arabic and Turkish and in Persian, but there are some brothers that are worth more than another. And if you, and it's classic, if you wish, Muslim Sharia, if a man wanted the only way, you never marry skin color, you don't marry down, you marry up. What is up? As white as you could be.
I took as dark as it could be.
Oh my God, no.
Down.
That's right. They want someone who's white, light skinned. Wow. The darker it is, the lower social status. But everybody's equal, I guess. But there's some that are more equal than others. In reality, okay. The more that America gave in, the more the cartoons, which had in Persian, in Iranian newspapers about Obama, the darker his skin became. Now you can understand this whatever way you'd like, okay? I'm just stating facts here right now. Now, and I don't care what we think in the West. Our purpose here is you should, God willing, you've left your Western mentality, your Jewish mentality at the door, and we're trying to see how the Muslims think about things here. Now, during the negotiations, which I would call the process of American submission, the Obama administration submission to Iran. At that time, the Secretary of State was the illustrious John Kerry. Now, John Kerry at that time broke his leg. Any type of defect or problem that you have in the culture of the Middle East is looked upon as a negative, a big negative. So, he had crutches and he was walking around, but the more that America gave in, the larger his crutches were in the cartoons. If this doesn't tell you mentality-wise, I don't know what else to say. I mean, this is what we're dealing with. Anyway, and please, guys, I'm going to, after about 10, 15 minutes, I'm going to stop, and you guys are just, anything you want to ask, and I'm not so much as interested in updating, but how do we think about the Muslims? Because if you walk out of here and you can understand how they think, then we've won. What does we won? You will understand why they're doing what they're doing. And a question that I think, David, you had mentioned something like, someone asked me about a half hour ago here, why doesn't the State Department understand this? They're educated. They've been at this for a long time. And my response is, they don't want to. We have a phrase in English. We started here, it's 10:16. We started, I think, around 10:05. And if something that happened at, let's say, 10:05, you bring it, oh, that's history. What does that phrase mean when we say that in English?
It doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything. It's over. Most of the world doesn't think that way. Well, and this is the answer to the State Department people. That's history, since we are not a deeply rooted people here in the United States. We're modern. Modern means 1776, the Declaration of Independence, 1789, the Constitution. This is young compared to so many of the countries of the world. And so that's history. Watch this one. This guy who is Abu Muhammad al-Jolani. Jolani, J in Arabic is a good in Hebrew. Jolani, which is Golani. He's from, his great grandfather or somebody was born there, but has no connection whatsoever. But by using that where he is saying Golan is
Ours.
yes,
Quran is what?
ours. Shalanu.
Shalanu.
The Arabs saying that?
Of course it is.
They said Jerusalem is ours.
You're right.
They say everything is there.
Yes, you're right. And the whole world's going to become Muslim. And you and I, everybody in this room is going to convert. And we're all going to be Muslims. That's just the way it is. We must live under Islam. Why? Because Allah in his Quran said so. If he said a government exists to protect Islam, there are two, in broad terms, the world is divided in two sections. The Dar, which is like Dira in Hebrew, Dar is where you live, and Islam, the world of Islam, and Dar al-Harb. Harb in Arabic is war. Khilif in Hebrew, you can hear the word is the same. They're very, very close languages. I know they don't look like they are, but they are. Now, Golan, that's okay. Now, he had a $10,000 bounty on his head. The State Department put it on. But
$10 million.
10 million? Oh, excuse me.
Why?
Excuse me, you were right. You're right, David.
Why?
Oh, because he was head of an unbelievable terrorist organization, which killed a lot of Americans. Yeah. In basically in northern Syria. Yeah, in northern Syria. Now that he has been appointed, I don't know by whom, the head of the government of Syria, well, the bounty, that's history.
They took the bounty away.
Sorry?
I think they took the.
We
bounty
removed it.
away.
Right, they removed it because it's not useful to them anymore. You are, whatever you've done from now on is all that matters. And that was a hindrance to have good relations with this so-called government of Syria, which God knows it's not, I can't see how it's really going to work, but it doesn't matter what I think. Well, we may think, I don't know. We can't, one thing about it, the age of prophecy is finished, right? So we can't know the future. And I certainly can guarantee you that I don't know. So now the bounty is gone because that's history. Please keep this in mind. In the Middle East, let's say, okay, I'm going to take you two as an example because you guys are like family. Borik and Sonia are our immediate neighbors, and we see each other in Jerusalem too. What was I going to
Didn't I like you enough to have you in two places?
Yes.
Is that quantum physics? You can be in two places at once?
Sure you can be. מתחבר מזרח ותתחבר מערב. It is no time.
I'm sorry for your production.
No, please. The way I feel, I'm almost no sleep, and the result is that I'm distracted anyway in life, but I get even more so when I'm like this. Anyway, so look, we'll see.
You were gonna use them as an example for something?
Oh yeah, but I'll use you an example when I figure out what I wanted to. I forgot my trend of thought. Please. I have no real thought I have something to continue with, but tell me what you were gonna.
Who appointed this guy? And does he have an army? Does he have
Nobody.
money?
Nobody appointed him. No.
What's his power? The Turkish
Does he
government.
have a
Now
lot of
watch.
Money that he gives out? What is he? What
Okay,
is
wait, please. Put it this way. If I have a gun in front of you, who's boss?
You're the boss.
Okay. Now.
So everybody has guns. The people
Yeah,
with
oh,
guns
but
can't
no,
stand
this is,
still.
look, watch this. One thing again, we in America don't have is patience. We want it now. And but we have also a phrase that we never use anymore. Rome wasn't built in a day. And what happened is the Turks, see, the ruler of Turkey, Erdogan, is basically, let's call him, I think I might have mentioned the Muslim Brotherhood. He's a major figure in it. And this is a radical, viciously anti-Western, it's anti-Semitic, it's anti-Israel. And I probably used an example of him cursing somebody that you can see on YouTube if you want, who was opposing him. He called him an Israeli sperm. Sperm is not a nice, to call someone a sperm in Turkish is a real
Insult.
insult. Thank you. Anyway, in the Middle East, people have patience. It's one of the most important characteristics. In an Arabic, Turkish, and Persian, the root is sabr. That's, it's, they say it's slightly different, but they don't, patience, don't worry. Erdogan has been training and arming Sunnis in northern Syria for maybe 10 years, arming them, training them, clothing them, feeding them. Now, did Erdogan know that on such and such a day he would be using them? Of course not. But they were ready to go. And once Assad fell, which is a marvelous thing for us, since there was chaos in Syria, he sent his troops down. Erdogan sent his troops. Who had these troops? This character, Jolani, or Shara is his real name, Ahmad Shara. Again, in the Middle East, the moment there's a new organization, suppose, oh, we sent all our analysts here in the United States and in Europe, figure out what is this organization. You know what? I have been a XYQ, an organization, but now it's not useful. So I just changed my letters to ABX. And oh, it's a new organization. We got to learn it. No, everything is personal. Everything is people in the Middle East. The leader, oh, he's now non-violent. Did I mention last Jolani? He's now, and he wants everybody to live in peace. Did I mention about the video? I don't remember last week or before on the net where he's talking to it in front of a bunch of Syrian priests. Did I mention this at all?
No, tell us.
Oh, okay. Again, it's all available on the net. Greek Orthodox priests in front over their gown, whatever they wear, they have a huge cross. That's just the way it is. Number one. Okay, here is Jolani speaking in front of these people. They're all seated. He's standing. And it all looks from a Western point of view, everything is fine. Two things. Number one, none of them have crosses on. That's not right. And he's going to say, oh, everybody's going to be fine. Everything is going to be fine. Golani is telling the priests. And then look at their faces. It's like, afraid. You can see it all there. It's on, did I see it on YouTube or Instagram? I don't know. Someone sent it to me. No. But wait a minute. Now he tells them what freedom will be. Now I use the word, and then I'm going to define. According to Islamic law, everything is, the moment he mentions Islamic law, they understand the red, doesn't matter what else he said, which is you Christians will be able to, in your church, you can pray the way you want, whatever like this. But as long as you live according to our rules, because Islam must rule. But as someone brought up the State Department people, how can they change their mind overnight? Oh, well, there are people who know these things at the State Department, but they are inconvenient. We don't want to know these things. So you know what? And this is 28 years of experience in the American government. When they don't want to hear it, there are two types of people. Those who I'm the messenger, so they want to kill me, or you don't kill in the United States, but they make trouble for you and have you have to worry about the trouble. instead of doing things that I would think are right. And by the way, it has nothing to do with party, Democrat or Republican. Um, uh, Democrats sometimes were very good, but and again, as I worked during that time period, it was mostly Republican presidents. That most were very good, and then there were those and the advisors around them who weren't so good. Now, why are they doing this? Because here's the clash of cultures. Everything we got to know. Okay, Bodek and Sonia here came from Poland, and you were not little kids when you came. You were married, still no kids. And they had never been in America, and you'd seen American movies, right? But everything you saw here, what can we say? What can't we say? Because in Poland, if I say something wrong, please just say straightforwardly. Truth matters, not what I say. You learn, both of you growing up, that you don't ask questions and you're quiet because you could get in trouble. In America, it took you some time to learn that you could open your mouths, right? And not end up in jail or worse. But that's, again, it's a clash of cultures. And we have a natural tendency to try to see the world in our terms. I want to tell you, I mean, I've been doing this since I'm 14, I'm 75, that's 61 years. And even I have problems at times. Put your Western hat, your Jewish hat aside. You want to understand these people. I'm not saying agree with them, but understand what and why they're saying what they're saying. That's it. Now, just a few more things. What we are finding, very interestingly, if you listen and you understand not only the Arabic, but the mentality, the Lebanese Druze leader, who the last thing he wants is a fundamentalist Sunni state. Remember, Sunnis are the largest group in the Muslim world. They're about 88%, 87%. We really don't know. We don't know the number of Muslims in this world. Anyway, he was giving a speech, and again, it's not someone reported. He is speaking, and he basically says we are going to make new agreements now. And he is insinuating that one of the countries that we have no reason to fight with is
Israel.
Yes. Yes. Why? Because one of the countries
You
that
said yes, yes, and what?
we have a new world we got to work on. We have no reason to fight with, and everybody answered the same thing. Israel. Did he all of a sudden become somebody new? No, the goal in the Middle East is to survive. Most of us, when we come home or when we were little kids, again, this is the United States, you could have problems outside, but whatever was going on at home, it was usually a place where you knew that no one would be after you, hurt you, whatever. Outside, even in the Middle East, it isn't that way. At all times, you're oh my God, did you say anything to shame the honor of the family? And you knew that your father, for example, please, guys, if you don't mind, this is, if this, we'll see if it is the, you'll excuse me for a few minutes if this happens. Well, let me just go on. I'll try to get a few other things in before this would seem to have come through. People are speaking up. Because they feel free. The Druze I think I mentioned the Druze in Syria were saying they wanted to be annexed to Israel.
Of course, why not?
No, please understand just what they could be free that way from their point of view. Because under a Sunni fundamentalist group, or even under Syria, under Assad, which was another group, they were oppressed. And Israel, they know from their relatives, you can speak up and you can do what you want. So what do you think they want to be? Has nothing to, are they pro-Israel? No, they're pro themselves. And I would want to, if I had a choice, having been all over the place, that's where I want to live. Okay, I want to just an update of things. What is for the moment, the most important problem that Israel faces?
Internal fighting.
Okay, let's say from outside the country. You're right. I would, in the long run, you're totally right.
Is Iran.
Iran. Let me describe what's happening in Iran, and please listen carefully to the Israeli Prime Minister, to Benjamin Netanyahu, and when he talks. Let me tell you, last night, this is a body shutting down, talking about the Iranian government. My wife's mother, just about 3 months ago, passed away, and we watched how her body shut down. It's slowly but surely. What's happening? This is what's happening to the Iranian government now. Netanyahu keeps telling the Iranian people, it's not going to be much longer. How does he know? But slowly but surely, Iran's economy, everything is getting worse. When there is unrest and all that, the government just passed a new hijab law. Hijab is head covering, or hijab, they would say in Persian. You see, it's almost the same. It's the same word. It's all pronounced differently. So what is the new hijab? It is much more serious as of yesterday for a woman to walk out not totally clothed in the right way than it was a day before. Is that what you think you're doing? Why do you do something like this? It's like, I'm trying to protect whatever I have. I'm talking about the Iranian government. Well, they had beautiful rivers. So many of them are dried up. There is a huge water problem in Iran, and they have ingenious methods for that. But what is the latest? This is 2 nights ago, actually. There's an electricity shortage problem in Iran. Again, all of which is available on the net. They had enough energy either to supply private houses in the country or the power plants to run them to produce more energy. What is the most important thing for the immediate survival of the government, of those two? The people or the plant?
Wait.
The people. Why? The people could revolt. And so what did they do? Even the presidential palace, the dictator's palace, whatever, was completely black last night. Or like 2 nights ago, I don't know. And because all the power was going to, all power to the people, we used to say in 1968. This is a socialist thing against in all the riots that were going on here at the time. Anyway. Now, is Iran next? Is this why Benjamin Netanyahu is hinting? It's beautiful Persian translation. We listen to the English when he speaks, or if it's in Hebrew, you have the Persian translation. All messages to the Iranian people. And then, you know what? The greatest event that happened to the Iranian people? I'll give you a hint. I think it was November 6th. Do I have the right day there in early November?
Trump's election.
Yep. No. Okay. Every time you try to compromise, there is, I think I might have mentioned again last, there is no such thing as compromise. I only compromise when I have no choice. And in the Middle East, it isn't to compromise, it is to be compromised. Let's say my honor would be defamed, God forbid. And you can figure what they would do to me personally. As an aside, and I'm very good with asides, unfortunately, I was flying right before the China virus thing happened. I was flying from Washington to Bombay in India, Mumbai. And I didn't check my flight pattern. I'm a known commodity to the Iranians. And what happened was I switched planes in Munich and got on the Lufthansa flight to Mumbai. And the truth is, about a week before, I looked at the flight path, 2.5 hours over Iran. What do I do? First, I didn't tell my wife. I told, does anybody know the name Richard Kemp? Richard Kemp is a remarkable man.
Military.
Yes, from Britain, who what he has done for the Jewish people in the state of Israel.
Very
Yeah.
wonderful.
It's no way you describe it.
Big supporter.
And he knows military stuff. So I called Richard right away. I said, Richard, what do I do? He said, don't worry, I would go. So I did, but I'm going to tell you, being over Iran, they could bring the plane down. Did they have a passenger register? I don't know. They're very good at doing all sorts of things quietly. Maybe they did. From the moment we crossed into Iranian space and until we got out of it, I remember the feeling. I told my wife afterwards. I did not tell her doing that, but my wife knows me. So I think she also trusts me. So anyway, we're heading to the end of this regime. I do not know how. I do not know what. I'm like, no, I didn't know anything about the beepers. None of us did here besides me, I'm sure. And after the beepers, then what was the next day they did? Walkie-talkies. Also planned for a while. Fantastic. Young people in Israel today are, let's say, they having, the military and having to deal with reality and having unmanned drones or whatever, doing whatever. They know what reality is. This is not an intellectual experience for them. This is, in Hebrew, you feel it on your skin. In other words, it's real. We in America, thank God, have not had that experience since World War II, but we actually didn't then because the war wasn't here. So we have the luxury, and especially our Jewish friends, who, if Israel would only be nicer to the Palestinians or to whoever, there's only one problem with being nicer. You're only nice when you win. You don't negotiate before you win. And what does negotiations mean? The winner dictates the terms of the agreement to the loser. That's called negotiations. The idea of me giving up on something because I want an agreement with you, Leo. And so, and you're a lawyer, which I'm not. And, you sit down, you negotiate. We sit across from each other. I hate you and you hate me. We have a horrible past. It's not true. But we have a horrible past. But we sit down. Give me about 25 minutes, okay? I am teaching at the moment. It's part of this is the guy I'm buying the half of the apartment from, who's one of my closest friends on the face of the earth. Anyway, you and I are negotiating. In America, we sit down, you try to figure out what I want, which is less important to you, and I try to figure out what you want, which is less important to me. That's what we try it for. And then we negotiate. I give to you, you give to me. We hate each other, and that's our background for the story. And at the end, maybe it takes, I don't know how long, it doesn't matter. But we make an agreement. And we shake hands, we look at each other, we smile, I would assume mostly. I don't negotiate in America very much. And we're now friends because we've got a common mission and we want to make this work. It was in my interest and in your interest. In the Middle East, by saying I want to negotiate before I have won, that is saying I don't have either the will or the ability to impose my will on you. And therefore, that every time this the Biden administration and the Obama administration before, every time they tried to be magnanimous without victory, that's when the tension, they strike more against us. When you stand and when they believe it, that's how they see Trump. They're afraid of Trump. And all of a sudden, remember this negotiation for the hostages? Trump, the moment that Trump won, all of a sudden Hamas was prepared to change its terms for the better because they were afraid that what Trump said, which is we are going to give them, we're going to, you will pay a very heavy price, however he said it. And Trump has a track record. That's the thing. Okay. So Iran is falling apart. I do not know when the thing will happen, which is wonderful for us. My mentor was probably the greatest Middle Eastern scholar in the Western world, certainly in the last half of the 20th century and the first decade of this century.
Bernard Lewis.
Sorry?
Bernard Lewis.
Bernard Lewis, yes. Bernard Lewis said he envisioned a situation where Turkey and Iran will change places, meaning Turkey is Sunni, by the way, ruled by the Sunnis. Iran is Shiite. That he saw that Iran maybe could join, it could be more Mensch-like, let's say, and Turkey, which is Sunni, remember 88% of the Muslim world, will do its damnedest to re-establish the caliphate, which is the caliph comes from the same Hebrew word khalaf in Arabic is khalaf in Hebrew, which means to change. Who came after Muhammad? Who did the rule, the change come to? Who is going to run it? And the Sunnis would be much more dangerous. Now, I want to tell you, all the Gulf states and everything, except for Qatar, hate or they're afraid of Iran. There's no question about it. They're afraid of it for many reasons. But if you listen to the way they talk, they are much more concerned about what they call radical, fanatic Muslims. And they're Sunnis. Momento. And if the Turks take over the Muslim world, and the people who are running Turkey today, they will disagree with what I'm about to say, but it is the truth. They hate Israel. They loathe the Jews. They won't say this, of course, in English. But if you look at what they say to each other, and that is what interests me, I don't care what they tell us. I need something from you, Leo. So you're starting to talk against something. Guess what? I'm for it. All of a sudden, I'm on your side because I need something from you. In other words, what I think doesn't matter. It's what my needs are that matter. And so I will say whatever. And you're the American in this story. Oh, Harold just come around. He gets it. I needed you. And so therefore, I say what you want. But then afterwards, your enemy here is this guy here, David. And I see that and David has a very different view on this matter we're talking about. And David's the big power. I have David's view. I have no view. I know where power is. Marty.
The logical conclusion to what you're saying now is that Turkey turns its back on the West, leaves NATO.
No need to leave NATO.
NATO will tolerate something like that?
NATO has no way of expelling anybody.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't.
They don't.
There's no way to expel it. It's like, how does a state leave the United States?
We understand that. Okay.
Same story.
Right? You sure?
There's no mechanism to leave them. Now, why would Erdogan want to leave NATO? He gets benefits
I
out of it.
understand that, but there has to
My
be a
wife.
way. I mean, In a sense, Harold, isn't he playing with fire?
the tricky criminal.
Isn't he playing with fire? I mean, the consequences, all right, so you can't leave NATO, but NATO can starve him. NATO can starve him out. If he wants to be the leader of the Muslim world,
Maybe, but do you think the West is concerned about that?
No,
I think now the Trump and his new administration.
We'll see.
Is more concerned than the previous.
Of
one.
course. Okay. Thank you.
I mean, not to be concerned would mean all of a sudden the Muslims would have to act out of character and become a religion of peace. That's not going to happen.
There is no concept of peace in
I
in
understand that.
Islam. Our concept, bygones be
I
bygones.
understand that.
I know, Marty, when we were again 6 years old, you and I mean, or when let's put it, I'm assigning you, you're 80 years old, and you're not 80 years old. I don't even know what you are. I'm 75. You're like my older brother. And what happens, just for this story, and you did something awful to me when I was whatever, and we're many years later, and we're having an argument, and I thought that, Marty, when you were,
Right.
yeah, nothing, no bygones be bygones. I remember everything. Middle Easterners remember everything. They have a marvelous sense of history.
so now, they are planning to take over Syria.
Mm-hmm.
Plan?
They already are doing it.
got the-
They're doing it already. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's peaceful, right?
In a peaceful way.
Yeah, isn't it? They're doing this peacefully. That's what they're saying. And of course, there's no history in it from our point of view. And that's what all of our State Department and whatever
So
people
you
are
mean
saying.
Syria gonna become Turkish?
Ottoman. It was part of the Ottoman Empire. First, you reestablished the Ottoman Empire, which included Erdogan is very concerned about a place called Jerusalem. It's his, you know. Isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was captured by the Muslims. Remember, just like in Islam, you know, the idea of keeping out someone from NATO.
Why are they killing the Kurds? What do they want against them?
Because within my family, we agree as Muslims, but within the family, we have a different problem. And that is
Kurds
that
are not Arabs.
they're no, they're not Arabs.
What are they?
They are their own group. They are probably one of the largest groups in the world that doesn't have its own homeland. The statistics are based on silliness. There may be 50, 60 million Kurds in the world. Erdogan, who is besides being a Sunni fundamentalist, he is also a Turk, and very, very, very Turkish. And what he's afraid of, and even he said, if things continue as they are now, by 2038, no, he's a Turk. By 2038, there will be equal numbers of Kurds and Turks in Turkey, because the birth rate of the Kurds is very high, the birth rate of the Turks is very low. So, you know, and he loves the Turks, but he'll work with them.
Kurdim,
Yeah. Yeah. So,
You see, so that's it. If Turkey decides they're going to make themselves, you know, you said they can't get out of NATO. That's the way.
no, they don't want to, because remember,
I understand,
their goal
but
is to take
the
over
Trump
Europe and America
administration-
too.
Harold, if the
It's not in
Trump
their way.
administration,
It's not in
if
their
the
way.
Trump administration was to arm the Kurds now, that would in effect neutralize whatever plans Erdogan has. And that's
Yes.
the way you get them,
Well,
to play ball. with you.
America has been arming and working with the Kurds of northeast Syria against ISIS.
But
ISIS is just another form of
it's
Islamic
it's kind of a
extremism.
secretive kind of thing.
Yes.
You know it, I don't, you know it.
No, it's not. They're out. We have American troops out there. No, this is something that
So the American are gonna get rid of the Turkish?
nobody's going to get rid of anybody. But if people get killed, that may happen. I don't know. I'm not part of the transition team. I do know some people on it, but I'm not. I'm just a simple guy.
I think Erdogan knows about weaponry from Russia. So
He did, and they, as a result of having done that, that's the enemy of NATO, isn't it? If he buys it from Russia, it's an S-300s, these are the anti-aircraft missiles. And therefore, Turkey got kicked out of the F-35 program, which is the greatest airplane that exists on the face of the earth. And because with the Russian technology, will that, the stuff from the F-35s, would it then flow to Russia? But remember, we may be, he may be part of NATO, but what is his goal? He wants to first reestablish the Ottoman Empire, at the same time, make help the Muslims of Europe become more powerful. And I'll tell you, I've been working with the Muslims of Europe since about 1982 when I started to work for the Pentagon. And they were very quiet, nice, and submissive because they were tiny, but their numbers have grown so much that they're making demands. And what is happening in Germany? Just because Germany and France are the biggest Muslim
They
population.
replaced 6 million Jews with 6 million plus. Muslims.
There was something in the Spanish newspaper about what you just said. We threw out the Jews and look what we got.
Right.
Hashem knows what he's doing. We don't. Anyway. Look, these are just thoughts, and again, trying to understand this part of the world. The stuff that is going on, and I just beg, I beg you to go on the net. A lot of the stuff, if you know how Twitter, I know it's on Twitter. At the very end of a post, if it's in Arabic letters or something, you can sometimes see something which says translate post. Click on it. The whole thing comes right up to you in English.
Or camera website is translation.
I know, but what I'm saying is if you're on Twitter, for example, and you see this is instantaneous, boom, you're gonna know exactly what's going on. Camera does a beautiful job. I'm very pro camera. But in this particular instance, since this is day to day of going, there's no way camera can keep up. There is something called memory. You got Kormun, which is absolutely superb on translations. And there are two ways of translating. Translating is it's a parshanut. What's the English? Commentary. Why? I can use a mild word for translate something or a stronger word. What memory does is when it comes to the idea of what happens, if there is a choice in English of the stronger word or the one which infers more, what appears to be, it always chooses the quiet word. Why? That way, it has gotten, and I'll tell you, memory is used by a lot of people in the American government because, it's not hotheads, it's not anger. So you might say, well, why did they do this? Oh, because that's the way you get into, disarm them, and then you get in. Anyway, look, guys, questions, arguments, whatever. Tell me why I'm wrong. I'm happy to be wrong. I'll learn something. No questions? I'm not bored? Yeah.
It's about, say, going forward. So perhaps naively, I had thought that when Sinwar was assassinated, killed, whatever, that would kind of end it, but it didn't end it.
No.
So he has a brother now, and the people that were
Why are the old brothers and cousins taking over all these? That should tell you something.
leaders that were cut there now have gone to Turkey. So how can we move the process forward? Does it require that we're just gonna bomb back to the Middle Ages, everything in Gaza? Does that mean that all the hostages will die in order to sort of take things over? I'm trying to figure out what is path forward in terms of winning the war. So it seems to me Hamas has to say, you won and we lost. but they're still making demands, and Israel's still talking about it, discussing, giving into
We
their
don't,
demands.
do you know what's going on in the hostage negotiation? Because I don't.
No, you don't know nothing.
We know nothing.
Every day.
And
It
look,
doesn't make sense. if
Like,
they
I
do
know
not
we
find
don't have a list of who's alive.
well,
Nobody's.
the
alive,
fact
I can tell
that you
we
pay
have
for
to
everything in the
realize.
Middle East, nothing's free. And the fact, they know that to us, every human life and even dead bodies
Right.
are sacred. Do they care?
No.
They want to use that. They care
No, they-
about.
Why
it.
shouldn't they? You would use whatever you can.
Yes.
Now, on the idea of negotiations, what will probably boil down to, and I can only give you, one of the most important things is that a lot of these people who hold, even if Hamas does hold these hostages, and we don't know that, at least I certainly don't know. And I say that because if they're parceled out to different places and different people, does Hamas still control whatever? I don't know. All I'm saying is the strategy that Netanyahu has used is in the league of Churchill. It's unbelievable. And I don't know, I'm 5 weeks older than he is. He also spent a lot of time in Philadelphia. And from Philadelphia, I grew up in Philadelphia. I did not know him. Again, why am I saying all of this? I don't know. I don't have the strength that he does. I don't understand where it comes from. I'm very grateful that Hashem gave him this ability, Baruch Hashem. And I think for today, if you don't mind, anybody have more questions, please?
Marguerite.
Why is the lefties?
Well, please, well.
Why is the lefties are so much against Netanyahu? There is no replacement for him.
No, because you're being logical in how you see it, and I totally agree with you. But there are many issues going on in Israel, like there are in the United States as well. We have a border crisis. We have the government giving free money to everybody. They're separate issues. In Israel, there's a very simple thing that's going on, and that is the people who founded the state feel that the lesser types, let's say, are taking over. And you have the right to do that to me. I established the state. It's mine. Who the hell are you? Shut up. Excuse me, I'm not talking, you know. And that's the bottom line here. And what is more important? The survival of the state, or that I keep control of the state? That's their answer. No, that's a separate issue. I mean, to me, in the situation that Israel is in right now, where we should be, and Netanyahu is spending 3 hours a day on Notishkot, silliness. Excuse me, 6 hours a day. Right now,
3 days a week.
how we can do that?
It's stupidity. It's stupidity.
This is the way it is, guys.
It's revenge.
Well, whatever it is, listen, I admire the man. Listen, Netanyahu is an extra problem for them. Remember, he's Ashkenazi. So he should, and his family's origins are from Poland. So he should be one of us, meaning the elite, the self-appointed elite.
He could take their seats that he could.
I'm amazed that he can. I have nothing but the deepest admiration and respect for his abilities. Chevrolet, I hope this was interesting.
Very. Very.